So it's really early in the morning right now, and I'm just about to go and do a little bit of pike fishing. And last night I was thinking that I should do something a little bit different, something really easy that I've never done here on my channel. And then it just hit me. I've actually never done spinnerbait before, and that's gonna change. So I made this last night, and it took me maybe 45 minutes to make. It's fairly simple and pretty easy. It doesn't really have a whole bunch of different components to it. So yeah, without further ado, let's make a spinnerbait, and I'm gonna go out and test this out and see if it actually catches anything. Alright, I skipped ahead a little bit and actually already drilled a hole through this lead weight. This is one of those pear-shaped weights that you can buy from pretty much any tackle shop. But before I can actually get the hook into it, I need to make a larger diameter hole, and that is exactly what I'm doing right now. So unfortunately I didn't have a big enough drill bit to be able to make a large enough hole, so I'm actually grinding some lead out from the hole that I just drilled with a, I think it was a 5mm drill bit, and now I'm just taking off a little bit from both of the sides so that the hook of the eye is going to be able to fit into the hole. I'm going to bend the wire 180 degrees backwards, which will then create a small loop, which I will then use to basically lock the hook into the lead weight. And by the way, the hook that I'm using is a Varjovas Big Mouth Extra, and it's a 8/0 hook. Oh, and if anyone is wondering why I'm using gloves here, is basically because lead is kind of poisonous and you don't want that to be in your system, so it's better to be safe than sorry. So basically mixed up some 5-minute epoxy now, and I'm going to glue the hook into the weight. And I'm sure that there's some people out there wondering if this is going to be secure enough. And I've actually done spinnerbaits like this before, and they've worked out really well for me. So I don't think there's going to be any cause to worry. I'm gonna start doing some fly tying now, and of course I'm gonna start off by laying a little bit of thread on the wire, and I'm going to be using bucktail first, and I'm going to be hollow tying it. And the kind of bucktail that I'm going to be using here is going to be one from the stem or the upper part of the tail, which are usually the hairs that are the most thick and have the most hair in them. Oh, not most hair, air. Yeah, basically just bucktail tying right now in hollow style. And it's also usually always a good idea to get rid of all of the fluff that you have in your bucktail. It helps with the time immensely. So usually when I do anything with bucktail, I do a couple of loose turns first, and then after that sort of like start manipulating the bunch of bucktail a little bit with my fingers to be able to make them splay out evenly around the hook, or in this case, wire. And once I'm happy how the bucktail has played around the wire or hook, I'm going to do a couple of very tight turns to lock in the bucktail. So I made a kind of a bad mess with all of the bucktail ends, and they're not even. If they were, I probably would not trim these off because they do help with splaying out all of the flash material later on, but in this case I wanted to make it look a little bit more neater, so they have to go. I usually would use a hollow pen to help me splay out all of the bucktail material, but it seems like I misplaced the damn thing, so I'm just gonna have to do it with my hand. You know, no big deal, you can definitely do it with your hand. Just much easier with that pen. And to end off the bucktail tying, I'm going to make a small cone in front of the bucktail bunch. And this is going to help me figure out the right angle that the bucktail is going to be facing backwards. And it's very important that you put it on front of the bunch, not over it. I'm going to be mostly tying with Magnum Flashabou. And first I have some gold, then hollow gold, then some Predator version of normal Flashabou, just normal Flashabou, just longer, and then I'm gonna have some saltwater Flashabou. On the first tie I'm gonna do a mixed color with the hollow gold and the normal gold. But first, before I can start doing any blending, I'm just gonna have to cut these off, and I'm just gonna use the whole length first, and then later on I'm going to cut these in half. The easiest way to blend Flashabou is to just basically roll them between your index finger and your thumb, and then comb through them with a comb. Once I'm happy with the blend that I've made, I'm just going to cut the bunch in half, and then I'm just gonna pull out a couple of these strands from here, so later on when I actually start tying, I'm gonna have a nice tapered look to the whole tying. So for this spinnerbait I decided to do a dubbing loop and basically have all of my flash material in that dubbing loop. Before I actually put any of the flash material into the loop, I'm going to be greasing it up a little bit with beard wax, because I actually didn't find my wax that I usually use for this sort of stuff. It has bee wax in it, so it should be fine. So you sometimes have to improvise this way if you're unorganized like I am sometimes. I'm gonna take all of the flash material that I cut and blended before and place it into the dubbing loop, and I'm going to be putting it very close to the wire, and basically just manipulate them actually quite a long time before I actually have a nice spacing between them, because you don't want them to be very close to each other. You're basically weaving them together here. So little by little I'm just pulling them apart a little bit, and you kind of have to be pretty careful here that you're not going to be losing a lot of these flash, because even though it does have that wax in the thread, they're still pretty easy to fall off. Now that I'm happy with the spacing of the flash material on the dubbing loop, I'm going to start spinning it with my dubbing twister. Since the flash material is quite long, it has a bad tendency of getting stuck into the dubbing loop, so you actually want to take quite a few pauses while you do this and try to pull out strands that might be stuck into the loop. So how do you know when you're done? Well, that's pretty easy. You just basically pull on the flash material, and if it's not moving anymore, you're done. Once that's done, I'm just going to moisten up my fingers with some saliva, and I'm just going to start pulling down the flash material. The reason why I do this is that it's much more easier to handle the whole bunch of flashaboo when you actually start to work it around the wire or a hook. Now I'm just gonna take the dubbing spinner and start working it around the wire. And a good thing to remember here is that you have to keep tension on the dubbing twister at all times, or else it's gonna be a horrible mess. As I'm doing the flashaboo wrapping around the wire here, it's pretty much a guarantee that a lot of the flash material is going to get stuck between the wrappings, and it's always a good idea to just do a couple of revolutions and take a pause, and then try to pick out as much of the flash material that you can. And if you can't, you can always go back. So I skipped ahead a little bit to save time and did the second dubbing with the normal flashaboo. And now I'm just gonna add a couple of strands of saltwater flashaboo. I wanted to add different types of flash material on the fly, and I usually do it like this, that I always add the thicker Flashabou on the wing, and then on the head part I'm going to add a lot of the more finer flash material, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm adding angel hair to the head. I hope you guys appreciate the glorious pinky action that I'm displaying right now, and I think you could probably make an argument that I could pass as a tea drinker. To disguise my crappy fly tying skills, I'm going to add a head made out of llama hair. And if you're not too familiar with llama hair, it's actually extremely affordable wool-like material, and actually really love using this. And a pack of this will last you a long time. Personally, I feel like no fly tying is completed without ice, and that goes with spinnerbaits as well. So I'm just gonna add a couple of ice here with some super glue. And you know, good thing about that, llama hair is that when you use super glue, the eyes are never gonna come off. This thing really seals them in well. Alright, our spinnerbait is almost done, and I just need to bend the wire a little bit to make a line tie loop and then a attachment point for the spinner blade. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the wire that I'm using for the spinnerbait is 1.2 millimeters thick. And yeah, I know it could be a little bit thicker for sure, but I'm pretty confident that it's gonna hold up with the pike that I'm gonna be catching, because the pike that I usually catch are not that big. And of course, a spinnerbait needs a spinner blade. And I have purchased a small selection of different style of blades throughout the years. And I think for this one I'm gonna go with a willow leaf spinner blade first. And then of course later on I can swap it out and see if maybe a Colorado blade would be better. Okay, so this is the very first cast with the spinnerbait, and let's see how it works, if it works at all. Yep, I can definitely feel that there's something happening in there, so that's good. Yeah, seems to work actually pretty well. The weather is definitely not on my side now. As you can see, it's very sunny and absolutely flat calm. But interestingly enough, I've actually caught all of my biggest pike when the conditions have been like this, which is quite strange, but you never know. Might be able to catch a big fish today. Although it's not exactly a spinnerbait weather anymore. It was -1 in the morning. But, yeah, you never know. Let's see if I'm able to actually catch something. That would be cool if I did. But yeah, the spinnerbait seems to be working pretty well. So at least when it comes to the action, like, no complaints. Alright, fish on. Oh no, I lost it. Crap. Actually felt like a pretty decent fish. So actually what I did was I changed into a different style of spinnerbait. Spinner blade rather, and it seems like the action is a little bit better with this one, so I think I'm gonna keep on casting with this. Oh man, that hurt. Been casting here for maybe an hour, and finally caught had a take, and then ended up fumbling it with the camera controls. Oh well. Sometimes these things happen. But yeah, it actually felt pretty decent. I don't think we're gonna be able to fool that guy to hit again, since he was hooked already. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep on casting with this spinner blade and see if I can catch actually something. Okay, I just saw a pike following the spinner bait, and let's see if we can actually hook that. I think it might have been maybe 2 kilos. Maybe something like that. But you know, then again, it did see my ugly face, so maybe we're not gonna be able to catch that one. Oh, there we go. Oh, actually, I think it's bigger. Bigger than, I think it might have been like 3 kilos or something like that. Let's try really slow crawling it and see if I can actually get it to bite. Nope, no followers this time around. Try again. Damn it, that was actually a pretty good fish. Yeah, they don't seem to be really into the whole spinnerbait thing now. It's definitely a little bit too cold for this sort of fishing, but still gonna persevere and try and get at least something. So unfortunately I wasn't able to catch anything, but at least the concept works. But I think I'm gonna head back home now because my rod's line guides are starting to froze up. And my reel is actually starting to froze up a little bit too, so I think a couple more casts here still. See if there's anyone home here. But at least the concept definitely does work. But I think this sort of bait is a little bit too active for this sort of cold weather fishing. But yeah, see you guys on the next one.